Have you ever had a woman suddenly vanish from your life, then come back weeks later like nothing happened? Did you wonder what you did wrong? Did you check your phone over and over, hoping for a reply that never came? Did you feel that sting of being ignored, while at the same time telling yourself maybe she'd reach out tomorrow? It's one of the most confusing and frustrating experiences a man can go through. One moment, the connection feels real. You're having great conversations, maybe even sharing amazing dates. And then, without warning, she goes completely silent. No text, no call, nothing. You're left staring at your phone, questioning yourself, replaying every detail to figure out what you might have done wrong. Time passes, and just as you're finally moving on, her name lights up your screen again. A simple, "Hey, how have you been?" as if the last few weeks of silence never existed. No explanation, no accountability. Just slipping back into your world like it's business as usual. Here's the hard truth. This is where most men fail the test. They feel relief, they feel hope, and they rush to welcome her back. But what if her return isn't good news? What if her casual comeback is really a window into her mindset and a test of your value? In this video, I'm going to break it all down. Why she disappeared, why she's back now, and most importantly, the exact way to respond so you protect your self-respect and turn this moment into your advantage. Stick with me until the end, because what you learn here will change the way you handle women who think they can come and go as they please. So why does she come back in the first place? To really understand what's happening, you need to look deeper than the surface. Her sudden return is rarely about missing you, and almost never about realizing she made a mistake and wants to make things right. More often, it's about her. It's about her needs, her feelings, and her desire for validation. When she disappeared, she likely thought she had better options. Maybe there was another guy who caught her attention. Maybe she was convinced she could get more excitement or more status somewhere else. Or maybe she simply wanted to see how much power she had over you by pulling away. But here's the twist: when those options didn't work out, or when the attention from others dried up, she remembered you. She remembered the steady supply of interest and care you gave her before she went silent. And now she wants to see if that door is still open. That casual message she sends, the one that says, "Hey, how have you been?" isn't really about catching up. It's a test. She wants to know if you're still available, still waiting, still willing to give her the validation she craves without making her answer for her behavior. If you respond with eagerness, she gets her answer. You'll accept disrespect and still play your role. And once you've shown that, she knows she can disappear and return whenever it suits her, with no real consequences. This is more than just immaturity. It's a subtle power play. By pretending nothing happened, she controls the story. She avoids taking responsibility, and she sets the tone for future interactions. If you let it slide, you're telling her that your time, your energy, and your emotions don't require respect. You're signaling that she can treat you as a backup plan, a placeholder, or a convenience whenever she needs a quick ego boost. Think about it. If she truly valued the connection, her return would look very different. She would acknowledge her absence, apologize for the silence, and try to repair the damage. But when she acts like the past weeks never happened, what she's really showing you is that your relationship didn't mean enough for her to protect it. She's not coming back to build something real. She's coming back to see if you'll still play along. And this is exactly why how you respond now matters more than anything. Now, let's talk about the most common traps men fall into when she suddenly reappears. This is the point where many guys lose control without even realizing it. The truth is, when you've been ghosted and then she shows up again, your emotions start running the show. And if you're not careful, those emotions will push you straight into behaviors that destroy your value. The first trap is the wave of relief. Her silence might have triggered feelings of rejection or abandonment. So when she finally texts again, it feels like a weight has been lifted. You're so glad she's back that you forget how disrespectful her vanishing act really was. That relief makes you eager to welcome her. And in doing so, you show her that she can treat you poorly and still be rewarded with your attention. The second trap is curiosity. You can't help but wonder where she's been or why she disappeared. You want answers. You think if you can just get her to explain, everything will make sense. But when you chase those answers, you're giving her exactly what she wanted, all using your time and attention, without her having to be accountable. That curiosity blinds you to the fact that her behavior already told you what you need to know. Then there's the trap of false validation. Some men convince themselves her return means she finally realized their worth, that she missed them and came back because they're special. That thought strokes the ego, and it feels good in the moment. But it's usually an illusion. Most of the time, her return has little to do with your value and everything to do with her circumstances. Maybe her other options failed. Maybe she just needs someone to boost her confidence again. And the most dangerous trap of all is renewed hope. Just when you were starting to move on, her message sparks the fantasy that maybe this time things will be different. You tell yourself she's serious now, that you'll finally build the relationship you wanted. But that hope makes you blind. It sets you up to accept poor treatment just because you're chasing the dream of what could be, instead of facing the reality of what is. These traps are powerful because they play directly on your emotions: relief, curiosity, validation, hope. But if you let yourself fall into them, you give away your leverage and your self-respect. And that's exactly why the next step is so critical, deciding how you'll respond when she tries to slide back into your life like nothing happened. So now you've reached the crossroads. She's back in your inbox, pretending the silence never happened. And this is where your first strategic decision matters. Do you just play along? Or do you hold her accountable before letting her step back into your world? This moment will set the tone for everything that follows. High-value men always choose accountability. They don't hand out access to their time and attention for free. When someone disappears without explanation and then strolls back in casually, the only correct move is to calmly require acknowledgement. That doesn't mean exploding with anger or unleashing frustration. It means standing firm in your self-respect and expecting the bare minimum of courtesy. A simple line like, "I noticed you disappeared for a while without saying anything. What happened is enough." You're not begging for answers. You're not showing desperation. You're calmly stating that you noticed, and you won't just pretend it didn't happen. That one sentence changes the entire dynamic. It tells her you're not someone she can ghost and then reclaim whenever it suits her mood. It establishes that your time and energy come with standards. And here's the beauty of this move. Her response gives you immediate clarity about who she really is. A woman with integrity will acknowledge her absence, explain, and maybe even apologize. She'll show that she respects you enough to take responsibility. But if she doubles down on her casual approach, laughs it off, or gets defensive just because you asked for accountability, she's telling you the truth too. She's showing you she doesn't respect you, and she never will. By requiring acknowledgement, you create a boundary. You're drawing a line that says, If you want space in my life, you need to treat me with basic respect. That boundary is not about punishing her, it's about protecting yourself. It keeps you from slipping into the role of the guy who accepts crumbs of attention while being treated like an afterthought. Think of it this way: every time you allow someone to re-enter your life without accountability, you're teaching them how to treat you. If you let her slide back in casually, you've trained her to believe this behavior is acceptable. But if you calmly expect acknowledgement, you show her and yourself that you take your time, your energy, and your self-respect seriously. And once you've made that expectation clear, her next move will reveal exactly what kind of person she is and whether she deserves another chance at all. Once you've established that you won't pretend nothing happened, the next step is about how you control the pace. One of the most powerful strategies is using time to your advantage. When she disappeared, she taught you something important. Instant replies and constant availability didn't matter to her. So when she suddenly comes back, you don't owe her speed or enthusiasm. You can mirror the very energy she gave you. This is what I call the delayed response. Instead of firing off a reply the moment you see her message, you wait. It might be a few hours, it might be a day, sometimes even longer. The exact length isn't as important as the message it sends. Your life doesn't stop because she decided to show up again. You have priorities, you have commitments, and you're not rearranging your world to accommodate her convenience. The timing of your response communicates volumes. Replying right away screams eagerness. It tells her she's still at the center of your attention. But a delayed response shows balance. It demonstrates that her return is just one small part of your day, not the highlight of your week. And this subtle shift can make her more interested, because it disrupts the assumption that you'd be waiting on her every word. Delaying your response also gives you a hidden advantage: emotional control. By taking time, you strip away the initial rush of excitement or curiosity. You give yourself space to think, to calm down, and to craft a response that reflects confidence rather than desperation. It's not about playing games. It's about making sure your reply comes from strength instead of impulse. Now, sometimes the smartest move is to match her casual energy with casual disinterest. If she sends a flat, nonchalant message, you don't need to pour your heart into your response. A short, polite reply is enough. No excitement, no eagerness, no chasing. This is called casual dismissal. You're simply mirroring her level of effort. By doing this, you're sending a clear message if she's not investing. Neither are you. If she sees you as just an option, you're classifying her the same way. That doesn't mean you're rude. It means you're not going to overextend yourself for someone who's already shown she doesn't value your time. And ironically, this often flips the dynamic. When she realizes she no longer has guaranteed access to your attention, she has to work harder if she wants something real. The key is outcome independence. You have to be genuinely fine whether she stays or disappears again. That kind of calm indifference is rare, and it's magnetic. It shows you're a man who has standards, confidence, and options. And that's exactly what separates you from the guys she can push around. There comes a point where subtle moves aren't enough. Some men are wired for directness, and if that's you, then confrontation can be your most effective weapon. This doesn't mean yelling, insulting, or exploding in anger. It means calmly shining a light on behavior that you refuse to accept. Imagine replying with a clear statement. You disappeared for weeks without a word, and now you're acting like nothing happened. That's not how I build connections with people I respect. It's firm, it's respectful, and it sets the record straight. The power of direct confrontation lies in clarity. You're no longer hoping she reads between the lines. You're telling her exactly what standard she failed to meet, and exactly what you require moving forward. You might say, I don't keep relationships with people who vanish without explanation. If you're serious about reconnecting, I need to hear what happened and why you thought it was okay to come back this way. At that point, she has a choice. Either she takes accountability and shows respect, or she proves that she's not capable of it. And don't underestimate the value of consequences. A follow-up like, if you can't acknowledge your behavior, then we don't have anything to talk about, makes the boundary unmistakable. You're not punishing her. You're protecting your time. Respect is the entry fee, and if she can't pay it, the door stays closed. But sometimes, the strongest response isn't confrontation at all. It's silence. Choosing not to reply sends a message words can't. By ignoring her, you communicate that her disappearing act cost her something real, your attention. You're showing her that she doesn't automatically get another chance just because she came back. Silence disrupts her pattern. If she's used to men responding, no matter how poorly she behaves, your lack of reply forces her to question her power. It creates doubt. It makes her wonder if she lost her place for good. And if she truly cares, that silence will push her to try harder. If she doesn't, then you've saved yourself from wasting more time on someone who was never serious. Whether you choose confrontation or silence, the key is the same. You're no longer reacting out of emotion. You're responding with self-respect. You're showing that your attention has value, and it cannot be bought with a casual text after weeks of vanishing. That message alone changes everything. If you decide not to ignore her and actually engage, then her return becomes more than a casual message. It becomes a chance to test her character. Instead of getting swept up in relief or excitement, you flip the script. You don't chase. You don't give her an easy welcome back. You ask questions that force her to show who she really is. Think about the power of a simple direct question like, what made you decide to reach out now? Or, how do you usually handle communication when you're busy? You're not being hostile. You're being curious in a controlled, strategic way. And these questions do something important. They push her to reveal her mindset, her habits, and her sense of responsibility. How she answers tells you everything. If she dodges, gets defensive, or shrugs it off with a flimsy excuse, you already know accountability isn't in her vocabulary. If she's honest, if she acknowledges the silence, if she explains without minimizing her actions, that's a different story. That shows she's at least willing to step into maturity and own her behavior. This is why engagement can be useful not to rekindle the romance, but to gather information. You're assessing her reliability, her consistency, her respect for you. You're looking for patterns. Does she treat people as tools to use when convenient? Or does she value connections enough to protect them? Does she take responsibility? Or does she avoid it at all costs? These are the questions that predict whether her behavior will repeat itself in the future. And don't just listen to what she says. Pay attention to the effort she puts in. If she really wants to repair the damage, she'll make it clear through her actions. She'll try to rebuild trust, not just brush everything under the rug. If she shows zero effort, then you know her comeback is about her needs, not about respect for you. Using her return as a test shifts the power. Instead of being the one evaluated, you're the one doing the evaluating. You're no longer a backup option waiting to be activated. You're a man deciding whether she qualifies to have access to your time and attention. That mental shift alone changes everything, because it puts you back in control of the story. By now, you can see that not every response is created equal. The way you handle her comeback depends on what you want, how you feel about her, and most importantly, what she shows you about her character. Each strategy serves a purpose, and knowing when to use which one is what separates a man of value from a man who gets played. If you're open to giving her another chance, then requiring acknowledgement is the minimum standard. You don't just let her slip back in casually. You expect her to own up to her disappearance before you even consider moving forward. This shows her that respect is non-negotiable. And it sets a foundation that says, if you want a spot in my life, you earn it with accountability. If you're curious but not invested, then the delayed response is your best friend. You slow things down, you reply on your terms, and you let her feel what it's like not to be at the center of your world. This subtle shift forces her to realize that your attention is not guaranteed. It's a reminder that you've got options and a life that doesn't revolve around her. If she's acting casual, you can meet her with casual dismissal. This means you don't invest more than she does. You keep your replies short, polite, but unengaged. You don't chase. You don't beg. You don't overcommit. You're showing her that if she wants depth, she has to bring more to the table. Otherwise, you'll keep her at arm's length. If clarity is what you prefer, then direct confrontation is the boldest route. You state your standards out loud. You tell her what's unacceptable and what must change if she wants another chance. Some women won't pick up on subtle hints, and in those cases, nothing works better than straightforward honesty with firm boundaries. And finally, if her disappearance was too disrespectful to overlook, silence might be the only answer. No response at all sends the clearest message she no longer has access to you. You've moved on, and she doesn't get to walk back into your life just because she feels like it. The bottom line is this: whichever strategy you choose, it teaches her something. It shows her what you'll tolerate and what you won't. If you give her an easy welcome, you're training her to disrespect you again. But if you hold the line and enforce your standards, you're showing her and yourself that respect is the only way forward. At this stage, it's important to zoom out and recognize the bigger picture. Relationships don't survive on attraction alone. They're built on respect, communication, and consistency. And the way she handles her sudden comeback is one of the clearest signals you'll ever get about whether she's capable of those things. Respect is the foundation. If she can't even acknowledge that she disappeared, that tells you everything. It means she doesn't see your time and energy as valuable. She doesn't feel the need to honor the effort you gave before she vanished. A woman who can't give you basic respect when things are simple will never give it when the stakes are higher. Communication is just as revealing. If she avoids hard conversations, if she brushes off her absence with a joke, or if she acts like you're overreacting, that's a huge red flag, because relationships will always face challenges. And if she can't communicate about something as straightforward as a few weeks of silence, what makes you think she'll communicate when real problems come up? Consistency matters too. Anyone can be charming when things are easy, but reliability shows up when life gets inconvenient. Her disappearance and casual return show you whether she can be counted on or whether she's only around when it suits her. If she can ghost you once without explanation, what stops her from doing it again? The truth is, patterns repeat, and her behavior is giving you a preview of the future. Through all of this, the one thing you must protect is your self-respect. Your standards cannot bend just because you're attracted to her or because you enjoyed the connection. The way you allow people to treat you sets the tone for every relationship you have. If you accept disrespect, you're teaching others that it's okay to give you less than you deserve. But if you hold firm, you attract people who are capable of meeting your standards. Your time, attention, and energy are not free. They're valuable resources. Invest them in people who respect you, who communicate openly, and who show consistency. When you protect those resources, you not only maintain your dignity, you also create space for genuine connections with women who actually appreciate what you bring to the table. When it comes down to it, the secret weapon in this entire situation is something most men overlook: outcome independence. That's the ability to be completely at peace, no matter what happens next. Whether she apologizes, disappears again, or tries to step up, your sense of worth doesn't shift. You're steady, you're grounded, you're good with or without her. Why is this so powerful? Because outcome independence keeps you from chasing. It prevents you from making decisions out of fear, desperation, or hope. Instead, every choice you make comes from strength. You're not asking, "How do I keep her?" You're asking, "Does she even deserve to stay?" That flip in mindset is what separates men who get played from men who command respect. Think of it this way: if your confidence rises and falls based on whether she texts back, she has control. But if you know deep down that you have options, that your life is full of opportunities, and that your happiness isn't tied to her attention, then you hold the power. She can't manipulate you with silence. She can't shake you by coming and going. You've built a life so solid that her behavior barely makes a dent. This doesn't mean you don't care about relationships. It means you care more about your self-respect and your future than about clinging to someone who doesn't treat you right. When you're outcome independent, you're no longer afraid to lose her, because you understand that losing someone who disrespects you is actually a win. And here's the beauty of it. Women sense this. They can feel when a man is grounded in himself, when his world doesn't revolve around them. That energy is magnetic because it shows strength and abundance. It tells her, "I want you, but I don't need you. And if you don't treat me right, I'll move on without hesitation." So remember, outcome independence is not about punishing her. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about being secure enough to know that your value doesn't depend on her choices. And once you've mastered that, you'll never be shaken by a woman who disappears and comes back on her terms. Instead, you'll stand firm on yours. Here's the truth you can't ignore when she comes back like nothing happened. It isn't a win. It isn't proof that you've won her back. It's a test of whether you'll protect your standards, your self-respect, and your dignity, or hand them over for the comfort of her attention. Her behavior speaks louder than her words. If she acknowledges the silence, apologizes, and makes an effort to rebuild, that shows maturity. But if she casually slips back, expecting you to play along, that's all the evidence you need that she doesn't value you. And this is where your response matters most. Welcome her back too easily, and you've taught her she can vanish and return whenever she wants. But hold your line, stay calm, require accountability, and protect your standards, and you send a message that respect is the price of admission into your life. This isn't about punishing her. It's about choosing what serves your long-term well-being. Either she rises to meet your standards, or she walks away again. Both outcomes protect you. One gives you a healthier connection. The other frees you from someone unworthy. So don't see her return as validation. See it as information. It's not about your worth. It's about her character. Your role isn't to prove yourself to her. It's to decide if she deserves a place in your world. Remember this. How people treat you reflects them, not you. Respect yourself, protect your standards, and stay outcome independent. Because when you live this way, you won't just stop chasing women who vanish, you'll attract the ones who never would have left in the first place. If this message hit home, make sure you subscribe, share this with someone who needs it, and keep following for more content that helps you handle relationships with strength and self-respect. Thank you for watching. Drop a comment below. What's the biggest struggle you want us to break down next? Let's build a brotherhood of men who rise above confusion and reclaim their power. See you in the next video.